Hi, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today, April. We have got a special guest, April Kass, and she is going to talk to us about Joshua Tree AirBnBs. I met April through Young Professionals Network. It was probably like almost 10 years ago,
When
huh?
we were still young,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Adele, when
Exactly.
we were young.
Now we're aging out of the system, but we're still friends, and it's been great doing some deals with you over the years and stuff like that. So I'll get
Yeah.
right into it. Tell us a little bit how you got into Airbnb, April.
Well, I got into it kind of on a fluke, probably the way most people do. I bought a vacation property and I realized like we stayed actually when we were buying property in Joshua Tree, we stayed at quite a number of Airbnbs. So I
Okay.
think that was like the first like, oh, a lot of people are doing this and just like with their regular house, like this
Yeah.
is nothing like particularly amazing.
Right.
And that sort of got my mind going. And after we closed, we bought a fixer. Our first property was a fixer, and um, so I did fix it with the idea in mind that it would be both our vacation home and we would also start renting it as a short-term rental. So
Cool. I like that. And that's how I got into it too a little bit. I stayed in them first, like just as personal, like traveling. And I was like, wait, what's going on with this whole thing? And then it kind of
totally, it's really cool when you're traveling. Like we did a whole Europe trip, well, Italy trip. We did like a 3-week trip in Italy, and primarily stayed I wanted it to be very spontaneous, which I know drove my husband crazy because he's a planner. But the Airbnb platform, that was the first time I really used it, and it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. I've lost track of time, but it's gonna
Yeah.
be something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, with the whole trip, the whole time we were there, we just kind of bounced around. I would like just get on and check like, oh, what's around here, and how many days can we stay for? And we stayed in some really cool spots in Italy, and I love that it has that translate factor. That's fantastic for when you're doing international travel.
Yeah.
You can translate it into your language, or you can look for someone who speaks the language you speak. And that was like our first, you know, the first experience I had with Airbnb. But at that time, I don't think it really occurred to me like, oh, I could do this myself. It wasn't until a little later that I recognized that that was an option.
Yeah, well, and it's like almost like it's like a trust factor too when you're traveling internationally because you're not always sure, like some of these websites and stuff like that. Like we all know Airbnb and we've used them or heard of them. So it was like, when we were in
and you
Spain, we were
and you
doing the same
recognize the
thing.
safety because you have to upload your identification and
Yeah.
you've got your credit card information. It's like, okay, once I've done it as a user, as a guest, I kind of get the idea of what other people are going to have to submit in order to stay at my location, which is
Yeah.
nice because
And it makes you feel better.
yeah, and it's a huge corporation now. Back then it was a little smaller,
Yeah.
but it's huge. There's tons of, insurance and as well involved in it, which is
Yeah.
fantastic, built into their fees. So,
I do love that. So how long have you been doing them for on your like, renting them out, and what keeps you renting them out?
well, we started doing it. Gosh, well, okay, we didn't start on Airbnb. We started, our first property had its own website, and I was really only renting to friends and family or friends of friends. Like it was, you kind of
Okay.
had to know someone to get in. And we were running it a lot that way. And
Right.
that was probably 2 years ago,
Okay.
around that, where
Mhm.
we had our very first one. And um, I actually launched it on Airbnb last year. We were launched and had bookings just before COVID hit. And then I canceled all our bookings. It was right when we had lockdown. It was not an ideal moment. So
No.
we took it off and then we put it back on mid-year, like October. And basically since December, we've just been solid now on that one. And we launched another one midstream and we're actually launching another one. So
Oh my gosh. So you just like kept on rolling with it.
yeah,
That's
once we
fun.
realized how lucrative it was, we
Yeah.
just and you asked why what keeps you doing it? Well, it's pretty financially like it speaks the numbers.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, it's like basically you have other people paying off these mortgages for you. And as long
Yeah.
as you can work the system of the bookings and things like that, then in the end, you end up with a paid off property.
And depending on where you are, I mean, mine are in Joshua Tree area,
Mm.
and the surrounding area in the high desert, and that area has been going up in value. So so far the two properties we've bought have, I think both of them I would value around double what we paid for them, and one of them we only bought last year. So if you figure that there's like two streams, there's the
Yeah,
stream where you're paying your mortgage off, and the stream where you're making a little trickle of income, and actually that little trickle, we'll talk numbers later I think, but
yeah,
is
yeah.
a larger trickle than I expected. And
Mhm.
on top of it, gaining equity, like I've gained hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity since buying
Yeah,
these properties.
yeah, and that's it's such a cool thing when you do have the double income streams like that, because it's like it just gives you that financial security and you feel like you're really like, getting ahead in life.
Well,
So
and leverage to get into another one. If you want to build this as like a business, my goal is a property a year until I've amassed 10 properties. I'm working on the third, but you know, um, it's like each one of these, you can essentially get to a place depending on your lifestyle where that's your only stream of income. You can easily make $10,000 plus a month
mhm.
off of properties. I mean, five properties can bring, well, actually, less than five
Yeah,
properties
less
can
than
bring
5
you that.
properties. We've had $10,000 months off too. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
doable for sure. And it's so much easier than like working 40, 60, 80 hours a
It's
week.
such the time commitment when you're paying cleaners, and
Yeah,
even if you're managing them yourself, the time commitment, it's like 30 minutes a day for two properties.
right, right. It's not that bad.
No.
So let's talk about challenges and hardships. Have you had any of those along the way? And
Well,
what kind
some people are awful to your house. So I
of,
think it's like I try really, really hard to, they have to have uploaded their ID. They have to have other positive reviews. If they don't, they have to submit to request, and we can kind of chat about it. I ask for people to be 25 and older to book my homes,
okay.
for all guests unless they're infants. And
Mhm.
um, I say they're not. Honestly, mine are not child-friendly homes. They have cement floors and like decor items that are, like you see my sort of stuff behind me.
Yeah.
I have a lot of like tiki decor, and that's those little cups that like,
Yeah.
one of them could be a $50 decor item and someone just knocks it down, and
Yeah.
they do pay a deposit and all that fun stuff. But I had someone burn my my blinds recently. Like
Oh my god.
they left a candle and they didn't tell me, so my housekeeper had to tell me.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you do have that. You can go back to Airbnb and ask for, the payout.
Mhm.
They all put down a deposit. And in this case, I reached out and she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know." And she asked her friends, and sure, lo and behold, oh,
Yeah.
it's such an accident. And they paid, they Venmoed me outside of Airbnb. They just sent me the money to replace it because it
Yeah.
was not repairable.
Yeah. I find, yeah, some people, they don't treat the home very well and they're disrespectful. And like we try to, talk about noise rules and stuff like that. We'll get, this summer we had multiple calls from the neighbors at 3
Really?
a.m. Like, you
Thankfully, I haven't had that.
on.
And we do, ours are not like out. I mean, Joshua Tree has some amazing properties that are like huge acreage where you probably could
Mhm.
get away with partying, but we have neighbors at both of ours, and the third one will also have neighbors. And I do put like, this is intended as a quiet retreat. This is
Right.
not for parties. We have our neighbors keep an eye out. Like my neighbor, the one at our like first location, she'll
Mhm.
freaking text me.
Yeah.
She's got no
Yeah.
problem being like,
Yeah.
"Hey," and she hasn't had to yet. And I've given my number to literally every neighbor.
Oh,
Just,
good.
"Hey, let me know.
Yeah.
Don't call the cops. Call me. I'll fix it." But so
Right.
nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. I don't know.
And our neighbors have been really good about it too. It was just a couple of times this summer. I said it was like people were going COVID crazy when they couldn't get in their HOA pools. They were trying to, bring in 10 people over and we had a pool there.
Right.
And they would just, they were not
Party.
respectful. So we were able to get it, handled. And the same thing, the neighbors all have our numbers and they know. And, we just, usually the people are really quiet and respectful. And that's another thing that I love about the Airbnb community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, thankfully, haven't had any like super disrespectful people. There have been some accidents, breakages. Most people tell me, like, oh, we broke this. Can we reimburse you? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just usually say no, so far there hasn't been anything too crazy where I'm like, oh, it's a cup, but it's not the end of the world, or it's a plant, like a little like fake plant I had, things like that.
Well, I try to put stuff in the property that's unique, but nothing that like I would be absolutely heartbroken if it was,
Yeah. You're
destroyed.
better than me with that because I'm so obsessed with my art and my decor that I put stuff that I love. I have like original artwork in one of our properties, and I don't know.
It's
I
fun
mean,
though.
we have
I love
insurance.
that.
Yeah, we know who the people are who are staying in these places. Like I've seen. You said you're on Facebook, like on some of these groups, and I was on like a short-term rental group on Facebook, and I honestly took myself off because it was giving me anxiety because so many of these stories. I'm watching people leave with a TV, and I'm like, I've never experienced anything like that, and I'm not going to put myself in the mindset that it might happen because I don't believe it's going to happen to me.
I would say there's probably like, maybe 1%. And remember too that people love to come and complain. But I like being in the groups because I feel like they've got, just kind of a finger on the pulse when it comes to theming out listings and just creative ideas. And
Mm,
and I'm looking for good like service providers when it comes to like doing multiple
cleaners.
things. And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to network with people like that, but I agree. Like I don't want to yeah, there's definitely horror stories, but that's why they have the Airbnb insurance and,
And we have insurance, and I suggest to my clients because I help people purchase them as well in that area. And I always suggest, like, yes, Airbnb provides you insurance.
yeah,
Get short-term renters insurance too, whether or not it's required by your area.
yeah.
It's maybe an extra $500 a year, and
Mhm.
that extra coverage is so. I mean, like, we haven't had to use it, but I feel much more comfortable knowing it's there.
Yeah. For the
Yeah.
people that are watching in Southern California, who do you use for the short-term rental
I
insurance?
have a guy named Ron Check. He actually has his own, it's called Sour Insurance Agency.
Okay.
Um, it's been, he's had the best quotes. I've shopped it around. And
Okay.
so he does the insurance for all of our short term rental
Okay.
properties.
I'll
And
get his contact info and we can leave that in the
totally. Yeah.
description here. Well, and I also want to make sure that I leave links to your listings too. So make sure to email me those. We'll get
I
that.
will.
And then I wanted to ask you, let's talk numbers a little bit. Do you mind sharing like what you're charging nightly or what you
Yeah.
paid, what you're making yearly, anything like that?
I will, since we're really just finishing out our first year and it was a partial year, yearly is hard to tell you, but I can tell you that both of my properties, I got them, and this next one we're purchasing. So the first property I purchased under 200,000. It's really
Awesome.
hard to find that now,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yes, it
Um,
is.
we purchased for 190. We put probably about 45 to 50,000 into that remodel. It was a full remodel. We went for sweat equity.
All the way out. Okay.
Yeah, we blew it out. We did the kitchen, we did 2 bathrooms, we did the whole deal, put a
Mhm.
hot tub on it, we just made it what we want. I mean, this is the one we spend the most time at. It's like our little vacation home as well.
Right.
And that one I rent for, so on weeknights, the lowest price is 175 a night.
Hmm.
And on weekdays, I'm sorry, weekend nights, it's 250 a night.
Oh, good.
And it's been rented, I'd say, like right now for the month of February, it's rented all 28 days.
Oh, good.
um, I think we have 4 or 5 open days in March right now, otherwise we're full.
Mhm.
And then we already have 4 bookings in April as well. We have a minimum of 3 days on that one,
Okay.
minimum day of 3 days.
Yeah,
And
we.
we get long term, like we've gotten a few long term stays, like
Mhm.
10 to 40 days.
Yeah, those are
um,
nice.
they're nice. I give a discount on them, so we make less money, but it's also
Right.
like nice to just be like, okay, I don't have to think about this housekeeper. I don't have to
Yeah,
think
and you don't have
about,
back and forth of the requests and
yeah,
stuff like that during that time. So
right. There's really no time spent on it. And also just like you're not using as much utilities, you're not washing, the laundry consistently. They usually kind of keep the AC set at, a number that's reasonable. And um, you just don't, there's just, you're not stocking anything. I'm not putting new coffee I always keep coffee in there.
Right.
I'm not putting, toilet paper or paper towels or
Yeah,
anything else, soap, shampoo, whatever. If they run out, they fill it up themselves. Um,
exactly.
I do leave a few extra rolls of toilet paper. I'm not that mean.
Right.
But,
Well, you leave a proper amount, but it's like you don't stock them for the entire month either.
right.
They're
Right. I got a call today from a friend who's like, "Oh, I know someone who's looking for a 6-month stay." And it's like, wow, okay, that's a big deal. And we could easily pay our entire annual mortgage plus, probably times two in that
yeah.
stay, depending how much of a discount we decide to give.
Mhm.
So chatting that through. So yeah, the numbers are really, I mean, because I bought it and I put cash into
Mhm.
renovating it.
Mhm.
That one is it's valuing now around 375, 380 with the comps, which is fantastic. So I've gained that equity. And then I'm a monthly on a bad month is probably like 3,500 gross. On a good month, we might get as much as 5,000 gross if we're
Mhm.
doing a lot of short back to backs.
Right.
And our costs on it are super low. Our mortgage and our PITI, so our principal, our interest, our taxes, and our insurance as one lump sum comes just over $1,000. So
Oh,
even with utilities, it's like maybe a 1,200, 1,300 if we have a bad month, like a $1,300 monthly bill. So you can do the math yourself, but like the
right.
profit margin on even an awful month pays
Mhm.
for multiple months worth
Multiple months.
of mortgage, and then you're just in profit once you've paid off your annual mortgage, right? So there's a lot of profit in that one. The
Absolutely.
second one we have that we've just started in December was our first month.
Mhm.
We actually had not intended to rent it. It was going to be a family home, and anyway, not how it turned out, but
Right?
no worries.
Sometimes it doesn't happen as we intend, does it?
And it's okay because it turns out that it's an incredible investment. That
Mhm.
one we bought in 29 Palms, which is the town over from Joshua Tree.
Okay.
It's like in the last 6 to 9 months, they've had a 95% increase in Airbnb bookings. The property values have gone like sky high. And so we bought this mid-COVID. I think we closed in July. I bought
Mhm.
it for $104,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's like the price of a really like a fancy car.
I was gonna
Okay.
say,
We
like,
got it
I
for
can't your van
104,000
for that right
for
now.
real, right? So
Yeah.
um and that little baby, we put probably also I'd say $40,000 into it. It needed everything. 104 did not get us anything turnkey. It was like a tear down practically. Um but thankfully I've got some really good handyman contractors. Like, I've got a good little crew,
Got your
and
team.
my husband's handy as well. So amongst the the crew, we were able to turn it around. We did 2 bathroom remodels, the kitchen. That's a 2-bed, 2-bath, but we've only been renting out. So we had it sort of split into 2 units.
Okay.
So we've only been renting out the front, which is a 1-bed, 1-bath kitchen. It's probably about 700 square feet in total. It's like little compact thing. And even as a 1-bedroom, we're just about to take it off after President's Day or late February. We're taking it
Mhm.
off the market to open everything up and do some more um, work to it. We're adding a hot tub. We're fencing it in because it wasn't
Good.
what it was intended for. It wasn't
Right.
really ready for
Yeah.
Airbnb. And when I first put it on, it was like, oh, let's just see, maybe we can make back some cash.
Yeah.
Wow, like you would not believe. So this one as a 1-bedroom, and I'm only renting it for about average 80 to $90 a night. It's like
Okay.
super inexpensive.
Yeah.
That one is bringing about 2,500 gross. Yeah, I think both months that I've
Mhm.
completed were right around 2,500 as the gross.
That's
It is, it is It's been pretty solid, almost every day booked. And
Good for a 1 bedroom.
incredible. Like we're gonna double.
Mhm.
This will be like a 4 to 5 thousand a month, and my payments are $637.
Great.
$637 is a monthly mortgage.
That is-
So like if you figure just as half, and it's been, it's been incredibly booked. We will probably we'll probably inch it up to 100. That'll probably end up being somewhere between 145 and 175 a night. It's kind of in like the area of town that I'm not like trying to. I want people to feel like they're getting a deal, and
Yeah.
I'm still making an incredible profit. Like that will be. It's already bringing a profit with only half of it rented out. So can't
It
wait to
makes sense
freaking
to rent
put
it
that.
then.
What's that?
I said it makes sense to rent it then. Those are some great numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it starts out like we're just going to have this for us, but then it's like, no, the numbers are way too good. I have to,
Mhm.
do this for a while.
Yeah, and that one, I mean, with the renovation, with the remodel, would probably sell for 200 now. And I bought it in July.
Wow.
So just like consider like that area is just on the upswing. And in fact, we're in escrow on another one around the corner from there, not right around the corner, but up the street a bit, a nicer neighborhood actually. And it's a 3 bed, 1 bath, but like a baby size. This one's a 2 bed, 2 bath, but they're probably about, I think the one we're buying is a little smaller than
Okay.
this one. Um, and but it's in decent shape. Like we're finally not going to have to do a full gut and remodel. Like we'll still put our stamp on it, but probably like 15,000 instead of like $40,000.
Mhm. So
Um,
how much is a property going in the desert for right now that you would have to do minimal work on?
well, the one that we're in escrow on, we're in escrow at 200,000.
Okay.
And so it's still like in 29 homes, you can still get a pretty, I mean, I would say it's pretty turnkey. It still
Mhm.
probably has about 5K in major repairs, and I'll probably put a 15,000 into like a baby remodel. Like it's got this awful tile floor. I'm not planning on leaving, but the kitchen's good. Like it's new appliances. I don't have to, fully redo the kitchen. I'm gonna do a little baby facelift on that. Bathroom's decent, and it's only 1 bath instead of 2, so I can, just change out the tile floor and have a decent bath. So it's going to be a lot. It's a higher mortgage than the other one, but as far as the cash that we need to sort of get it moving, yeah,
That's
it'll rent for that.
realistically. Yeah,
It'll
with
rent for that like
the
150, somewhere in the 150 to 200 a night as well.
good. Well, and
So
you said
excited.
that your plans are to basically kind of get one a year for the next 10 years.
That's what I'd like to do. Yeah, this one started early in the year.
Yeah.
Like I put it on the list. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I give my little goals, and this is my financial goals, and these are my, and I want to buy another property. And I was talking to my partner who, kind of keeps me accountable for those things. And he goes, and I was like, oh, we opened escrow. He's like, wow, oh, well, okay, January. Like really just checking those babies off.
Well, I mean, the appreciation in California usually all happens before June in any given year, so you might as well get
Although
everything
I feel
happening.
like COVID, it's anybody's game right now because
Yeah,
we're not having, you
there's
know,
no inventory and people
and
don't
no
wanna
one's
put stuff
and
up
these
there.
markets are incredible.
Mhm.
These secondary markets are incredible. The equity you can gain. I mean,
I agree.
people aren't taking trips to Italy. My trip to England and Ireland, that I was going to spend a whole bunch of money on,
Yeah.
that money went into investment property. And
Mhm.
I know I'm not the only one
Yeah.
because I've helped quite a few people purchase property out there, and they're all thinking the same way. Well, we would like a place to get away, but none of us want to get on a plane. So this would
Yeah.
be kind of an investment that we can use.
Mhm.
A great
Got
idea.
clients doing the same thing right now, and why not? Because it is. It's good to have a place where you can just go and get a refresher, if it's a day drive or half a day or even a couple hours. Like it really, it just changes the mindset. And I think you know too how important that is, just the mental health.
The
And
breather,
yes,
the
exactly.
calm,
Yeah,
the
getting out of
beautiful
the
air, the stars that we
yes.
don't get in LA.
Amen, sister. That's so
Yeah.
true. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, but let's end it with, do you have any tips for Airbnb, like beginner investors or anybody like that's starting off considering hosting, to kind of help them be successful on their Airbnb journey?
I would say that it's really important to consider what it looks like online once you have that first place, even if it's your place and you're renting a portion of it out, or, a lot of people I know are renting out a guest house or even like trailers that are on their property.
Yeah.
And I think that having a theme, and I will give the links to mine so you can kind of get an idea. I do like a retro theme. That's my thing. Like I'm a little retro and I like my houses to reflect that. But it really is important to make it stand out,
Mhm.
and you can have your own style to do that, but it should be stylized. It should look like it needs the Pinterest, Instagram worthy shots. Like you've got to have that. Do pro photography. Airbnb can help with that. If not, find a pro photographer and take pro shots of your properties. If you want to launch it without that, fine. But within a few months, get someone to come out and really, really get those photos to shine online, because you're competing with other people in the marketplace. And my last tip would be to start your prices low, because the biggest thing is, and to keep your prices low enough that people feel they're getting a deal when they stay there. That's the other thing. Like you can jack them up, because once you have you start getting reviews and you've got that 4.9 rating, 5-star rating,
Yeah.
you're going to get booked. You're going to be early in the search.
Right.
You're a super host.
Mhm.
You'll keep getting booked, but the last thing I want is for someone to stay in my property and feel like, wow, that wasn't worth it. So I keep the
Right.
prices, the profit margin's huge. I
Keep
don't need to be greedy with it. I'm going to
them.
keep the price in a place that someone walks in that door and goes, wow, like we
Yeah.
only paid that. We got this,
Right.
you know?
Well, and you don't want the 4-star reviews, because that's, so negative on Airbnb. And like a lot of people
Mhm.
think, oh, 4 stars is like, that's like a B, right? I'm going to give them a B. But
Yeah.
if they walk in and they think the value is A plus, then you're already on your way to 5 stars and getting
Yeah.
more Airbnb showings, AKA more bookings. So I agree with you there.
And I think too that giving feedback to the clients, like every time a client checks in, I message them that day and I say, hey, welcome. Hope you got checked in well. If you need anything during your stay, I'm here. Here's my cell phone number. You might have someone do that for you. I now have an assistant who will also, she's taking care of one of these Airbnbs for me now. So she'll do that, the basic same message. Here's my information. Here's April's information. We're both here. If you need us, reach out, let us know. Right.
Yeah.
Then during their stay, if it's a long stay, I might also check in once. Hope everything's going well. You guys are having a great stay. Usually the feedback I get is, oh my God, we love it. It's amazing. Thanks for checking in. Occasionally it's like, oh yeah, we were having trouble with the Wi-Fi. I'll troubleshoot that.
Right.
And then the day of checkout again, if I haven't spoken with them on the day of checkout, because they check out by 11, I will immediately do the review as soon as it's available. I'll give them 5 stars usually, whether or not they were like the most amazing guests in the world. As long as they didn't like totally ruin my home, they get 5 stars.
Yeah.
And I give them the 5 stars. And there's two things, you can write your little review and then you can give them private feedback. I always give them private feedback. And I
Mm-hmm.
say to them, hey, like, thanks so much again for staying. I hope you had an amazing stay. Just gave you a 5-star review. And then whatever else I wanted, just like come
Oh,
back
that's
anytime.
good. I like that method. Because
So
we'll
it helps us sort of maintain that
Mhm.
relationship. Like, hey, by the way, I also reviewed you,
Right.
and provided that they haven't written a review before I have, like they already have in their head, oh, that was really sweet of her. She gave us a 5 star. She checked in. Like they can see that message thread of
Mhm.
4 messages or 3 messages of me checking in consistently. So already I know communication is going to be great.
Mhm.
Um, Cleanliness is one that's harder because, you're sort of out of control of, if your housekeeper, you could hoping that your
Yeah.
housekeeper is doing the best
Yeah.
they can. You're hoping people checked out on time, that no one got there early, like that she's not rushed or he's not rushed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good though. And having those regular check-ins in the systems, I love how you can write the automated messages in the platform. And then that way you can kind of just send the same thing. Cause we get the same one and we ended up recording a video on how to use a pool and turn on the pool equipment and off the pool equipment, because it's just like a question that we get all the time. And so rather than,
Mm.
Daniel walking him through every single time on the phone or FaceTime or something like that, we just did a video. And as soon as they check in the Mission Viejo place, we send them
A YouTube link.
the YouTube link. Yeah.
That's a really great idea. It's for so many reasons. I love that. And I'm going to take it because we have a hot tub
Yes.
and we write down, we have handwritten instructions for the hot tub. And then there's like instructions online, but
Uh-huh.
especially if they're there for like a 10, 15, they have to put chemicals in the hot tub. Like you want a chlorinated hot tub and you have to do it while you're there.
Yeah,
So,
you can't ignore that for 10 days.
no, it will smell gross.
Yeah.
The idea of doing YouTube is so great
Oh,
because it also reminds them, and Angie and I both do real estate. Like we sell real estate too, and I sell real estate where I have my Airbnbs, both in Los Angeles, and I also sell in the desert. And I have often thought about this because I've sold a number of Airbnbs. Like I can give you links to quite a few Airbnbs that are my clients that are fantastic, that are doing well. And I know people go out there to look at property and to have a little, extra, hey, here's how you take care of this. Oh, and hey, while you're there, you're going to see who I am. And I'm a real estate agent in the area.
Yeah, and that actually works. Like I've got a pre-approval right now. I got it yesterday for somebody that rented our Mission Viejo place as a retreat. She was a
Hey.
wellness provider and she had a retreat there with some of her friends pre-COVID. And yeah, she was like, hey, I want to like get into maybe doing something like this and get into owning my own property. She was renting in Long Beach. So we're taking her
So
out
cool.
and helping her find something in Long Beach and with her partner. And yeah, so it's kind of fun like that too. It's like the two, the worlds kind of cross over, but it's still two totally different worlds. Like, how we stage a property for sale is totally different than how we design it for Airbnb. But that's another part that I love and that you touched on, like your retroness is like,
and having all the things in the house, like you're saying, right? We stage it, we throw like some pillows and candles out, but we have an Airbnb. You gotta have, like, I try to have everything: a garlic press, what do you call it?
Orange juicer too.
Juicers, blenders.
Yes.
What was the word I'm looking for? That rolling pin.
Yeah, rolling pin and baking sheet. Yeah.
Have that. Yeah, the baking sheet, everything for cooking. Like people stay there and they want to feel comfortable. And that's a huge thing with reviews though, right? About like, oh my gosh, like the soap was so incredible. Like the sheets were like really comfortable. Those little extras to buy like nice sheets or to pay for, like high-end hand soap. It's silly, but it's a small price to pay for the, longevity of a hand soap.
And it's so fun to get to put those little like personalizations in, because we don't always get to do that when we list the property or stage it. Like we're kind of just like putting lipstick on and making sure that the photos look good. But when it's a vacation rental, like we know like they're living in it. They're, digging down into it. They're the candles, the lighting, the things that you leave in the basket and all of that kind of stuff make a difference.
Totally. Yeah.
It's fun. Well, good. I can't wait to share the links on your listings, and I appreciate you joining us today. Like you, so much info. So hopefully, I'll have somebody to refer you out to buy in the desert or something in LA soon too.
Thank you. And anyone watching, I have used this woman here for to refer her to clients, and she's fabulous. We've done a few transactions back and forth, helping each other's clients, and I always feel super confident in her. So just can't say enough kind things about Angie Weeks, success in weeks over here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Honestly, like it's always a pleasure to do a deal with you, and you're just a consummate professional. You know your stuff. and what you don't know, you're not egotistical to say that you know it and just make it up. Like you
I
literally
know.
do that dirty research and you get the job done. And that's what I love about you, girl. You're not afraid to tackle it.
Same for you. You know, you were in this business before me. I've watched you grow. We've gotten to grow together. So we really appreciate having the opportunity to chat about something I love. And yeah,
Well, wishing you much success. We'll stay connected, my friend.
back at you, girl.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.